Okay. Well, it is 6 p.m. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We're glad you're here. Welcome to East Bay MUD's community meeting on the Reliez Valley Road pipeline replacement project that will be coming up in Lafayette. My name is Joe Volker, and I'm a community affairs representative for East Bay MUD, covering parts of Contra Costa County. I'll be leading tonight's presentation along with Dennis Nisley, EBMUD's construction and maintenance superintendent, who will walk us through the construction aspects of the project. We're glad you're here to learn more about this important project. And before we jump into tonight's presentation, do want to go over the Zoom details for those of you who were with us the last 10 minutes. See that Zoom can be finicky. So first, this meeting is being recorded, and a copy of this presentation will be posted on the project webpage following the presentation. By attending tonight, you'll acknowledge and consent to being recorded. If you have questions throughout the presentation, as Dennis and I and Director Gomez are presenting, please feel free to use the, I'm sorry, I don't have my laser pointer up. Please feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to type a question in as we're presenting. We ask that you hold verbal questions until the end of the presentation. We are going to have a Q&A section at the end. So once we get through our slides, we'll be able to take verbal questions from you. And the way that we could take those verbal questions is if you use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. So familiarize yourself right now and throughout the presentation with these two buttons if you have questions as we go. So before we get into specifics about the project, I do want to introduce EBMUD's Director Luz Gomez, who represents Ward 2 on East Bay MUD's Board of Directors. She joined the board in April of 2024. Following the retirement of longtime director John Coleman. Since stepping into the role, she's hit the ground running, working to strengthen our water infrastructure, enhance sustainability, and ensure that the voices of our community are heard. So Director Gomez, I'll turn the floor over to you for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate you introducing me briefly. Hello, everyone. My name is Luz Gomez, and I'm your East Bay MUD Director for Ward 2. I appreciate the time that you're taking tonight to join us and to learn more about this project. So I want to start by saying that this project is about ensuring the long-term reliability of our water system. As you know, the pipeline that we'll be discussing tonight is a critical investment in the infrastructure that delivers safe, high-quality water to you and your neighbors every day. And for those who may not know me, I was appointed to the East Bay MUD board in April of 24, so it'll be a year coming up pretty soon. I'm brand new. And I was elected to continue serving in Ward 2 in November. And I represent the communities of Lafayette, Danville, Alamo, Diablo, Blackhawk, and parts of Walnut Creek, Pleasant Hill, and San Ramon. My role is to ensure that East Bay MUD remains responsive to your needs and concerns. My background is in public health, air quality, and environmental justice, and I bring the experience to my work at East Bay MUD, focusing on resilience, sustainability, and community engagement. That's exactly why projects like this one are so important. So 3 points about this project. This project replaces aging infrastructure. You will see in a bit that some of these pipes were installed way back in the 1940s and 50s, so they have definitely reached the end of their lifespan. Number 2 is that it enhances reliability and fire protection. I'm sure it's something that's in all of our minds. So ensuring that our community has the water that it needs and that it's available when we need it most. And it maintains and minimizes service disruptions, reducing the risk of leaks and emergency repairs down the line. Nobody likes those. So I know that construction projects like this can be disruptive, and I want to personally thank you for your patience and cooperation as this work moves forward. Your investment today strengthens the system for the future generations. I mean, we certainly hope that this type of repair is going to last 100 years or more. So I also want you to know that I'm here for you. And if you have any concerns, questions, or feedback, please don't hesitate to reach out. A little bit later, I'll drop my email in the chat. And with that, I'll hand it back to Joe. He is our Ward 2 Community Affairs representative. He does a great job. And he's going to walk us through the details of the project, including the construction timeline and what you can expect in the months ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Gomez. So tonight we will walk through East Bay Mud's upcoming pipeline replacement on Reliez Valley Road, what it means for the neighborhood and what you can expect along the way. Here's what we'll cover tonight, why this project is happening, why these pipes need to be replaced, and the benefits of this upgrade. We'll cover the project scope, what's being replaced, where, and the estimated timeline. How the work will happen, we'll talk about typical pipeline construction activities with an overview, also getting into some pre-construction work that you'll see out there and what you'll see in the area just overall. We'll talk about traffic impacts and the detour that's in place, how we're keeping traffic moving and what local residents should expect. And then we'll talk about paving and restoration, the difference between temporary and final paving, and how we'll restore the roads after work is complete. We'll also talk about how we'll keep you informed, the way EBMUD will provide updates and where you can go if you have questions. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, we'll have a Q&A session at the end, and that'll be our opportunity to ask questions. Again, you can ask questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen to type your question in. EBMUD staff is going to be monitoring those throughout the presentation. So if you have a question urgently needing an answer, please type that in. If you can hold it, we'll have a verbal opportunity for you to read that or speak out at the end of the presentation. This is something I'll repeat throughout the presentation, but we know construction projects can be disruptive, and we do appreciate your patience as we complete this important work. Our goal is to keep you as informed and make sure that you have all the information that you need. So let's get started with why this project is necessary. So the upcoming pipeline replacement on Reliez Valley Road and Lafayette it will take place because these pipelines in the area were installed between the 1940s and 1970s, which means that they've been delivering water to this community for 50 to 80 years, and they're reaching the end of their lifespan. While they've served this neighborhood well, aging pipes become more prone to breaks, leaks, and service disruptions. By replacing these pipelines now, we're doing a few key things. We're going to reduce service disruptions. No one wants an unexpected water outage due to a pipeline break. This upgrade helps avoid emergency repairs and costly interruptions to your service. We're going to enhance reliability. This will ensure a stronger, more resilient water system for the entire community, keeping water flowing smoothly for years to come. And reliable fire protection. Having an upgraded pipeline means better water flow for firefighting, which strengthens emergency response capabilities, an especially important factor which is top of mind in our region. As I said, we know that construction isn't always convenient, and we do appreciate your patience while we do complete this critical work. We're working closely with the city of Lafayette to minimize impacts as much as possible. So let's move on to what does the project actually involve. Let's take a look at the scope of work. So on Reliez Valley, East Bay Mud will be replacing 7,360 feet of aging water main along Reliez Valley Road, Almaden Road, Kim Road, Reliez Valley Court, Vaughn Road, and Hermosa Way. These pipelines have served the community for decades, as I just talked about, but they're reaching the end of their useful life. Upgrading them now ensures a more strong, reliable, and prepared water system that's prepared to meet future demands, including fire protection needs. So what does this mean for you? Construction is set to begin in mid to late March with an estimated duration of 9 months. Work will take place Monday through Friday during the following hours. And these hours that I'm about to read off will be on the next slide as well. And they're on the project webpage. But our work hours will be Monday through Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. And on Wednesdays, we'll be working 8:45 to 2 p.m. There's no weekend work currently planned for this project. During these hours, Reliez Valley Road will be closed to through traffic, but detour routes will be in place to help keep traffic moving. Residents who live within the project area will still be able to access their homes, and we are working closely with emergency services to ensure fire, police, and ambulance response times are not impacted. However, if you are driving in and out of the construction zone, please do plan for a potential 15-minute delay while crews are actively working. As I said, we're coordinating with the city of Lafayette to ensure that once the pipeline work is complete, paving and road restoration can happen as efficiently as possible. Our goal is to minimize disruptions while making these much needed improvements. So we have a map here on the slide. You might be squinting in trying to see your house. The next slide is going to cover our traffic impact and the detours. So it's going to have a blown up version of that slide for you. So let's take a look at this detour route that will be in place during construction and how the road closure will be implemented. East Bay Mud's work on Reliez Valley Road will require intermittent closures during the project. While construction will take place over approximately 9 months, the road will not be closed every day. Only when crews are actively working on Reliez Valley Road will the detour be in place. On days when a closure is in full effect, crews will be on site starting at 7:30 a.m. with traffic reduced to a single lane in each direction to allow school traffic to pass through. At 8:30 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, or 8:45 a.m. on Wednesdays, the full closure will go into effect and traffic will be detoured. The closure will be lifted at 3 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and 2 p.m. on Wednesdays. We strongly encourage drivers to use the designated detour routes to avoid delays. For drivers traveling northbound towards Lafayette, turn onto Withers Avenue, continue on to Taylor Boulevard, and then take Pleasant Hill Road, which reconnects to Reliez Valley Road beyond the closure. For drivers traveling southbound towards Pleasant Hill, turn onto Pleasant Hill Road, continue on to Taylor Boulevard, and then take Withers Avenue, which will lead you back to Reliez Valley Road past the construction area. These detours are in place to help keep traffic moving while work is underway. Local residents, again, within the construction zone will still have access to their homes, but should expect up to a 15-minute delay when traveling through the area. Non-local drivers must follow the detour route. To help navigate the area, traffic control signage will be clearly posted throughout the project zone. East Bay Mud will also provide regular updates via email and on our project webpage with the latest detour information and construction progress. Sorry, I've lost my mouse here. There we go. With that, I'd like to pass the presentation over to East Bay Mud's Construction and Maintenance Superintendent, Dennis Nisley, who will provide an overview of how EBMUD's pipeline replacement projects are implemented across our service area and what you can expect if you live in the project area. Dennis?
Thank you, Joe. Good evening, everyone. So on this slide, I'll briefly go over our typical process for pipeline construction at a higher level. Some of these terms you'll hear again on later slides as I go into a little more detail on each phase of construction. So first, our survey group comes out to lay out and mark our proposed pipe alignment on the street. And we start staging materials such as pipe, fittings, and construction equipment near our job site. Next, we saw cut the street where the pipe is going to be installed. Then comes the excavation and the pipe installation. After pipeline installation, our trench is backfilled, compacted, and paved with temporary asphalt. And this is done daily. Once the pipe is installed, we then flush, pressure test, disinfect, and sample the new water main. And while this disinfection work is being done, our pipeline crew will continue working on another portion of the project. After the disinfection process, the same pipeline crew will return to transfer services from the old main to the new main. And then lastly, we install temporary asphalt and clean up the job site. Go to preparation work. A little more on preparation work. So we start by staging equipment and materials in the area, taking care to not block traffic or driveways. These staging areas typically follow the construction path so as not to impact any area for a substantial length of time. We will also be saw cutting our trench alignment and performing small excavations, also known as potholing, in order to locate and confirm the location of other underground utilities so that we can work around them safely. Next comes the installation. So before we can install a new pipeline, we need to saw cut into the pavement and dig a trench. This helps us locate and avoid existing underground utilities. And then comes the laying of the new pipeline. Once the trench is open, we install the new pipe section by section. And this is where the bulk of the work happens. Then comes backfilling. After the pipe is installed, we backfill the trench with compacted material to restore road stability. Once the trench is filled and compacted, we place a temporary layer of asphalt so that the road remains safe for drivers until we can return for the final paving restoration. Our work is done in sections. So our crews move methodically down the street, usually in front of each residence for only a day or two, depending on where we start and stop, completing each phase before advancing to the next. This helps to minimize the impact on the neighborhood. Next, please. So what to expect during a water service interruption? As part of the pipeline replacement project, we'll need to temporarily switch your water service over to the new main. Before the switch, our crews will knock on your door and check your water meter to see if someone is home. If you're there, we'll let you know that your water will be off for a short time while we complete the transition. The switch itself typically takes about 20 to 30 minutes. During this time, you'll be temporarily without water, but once we're done, service will be restored. After your water's back on, there is a chance you may notice some air or loose particles in your plumbing, which is rare but possible. If that happens, just run cold water from a hose bib, a bathtub, or a faucet for 1 to 3 minutes to clear it out. If you're flushing your system, it's also a good idea to close your toilet's water supply valve to prevent any further issues. And if you have any concerns after service is restored, just contact us and we will be gladly to help you out. And now paving. Once the pipeline's installed and the trench is backfilled, we place a temporary pavement to keep the roadway safe and drivable. EBMUD is responsible for maintaining this temporary paving until the final paving is completed. Final paving is done by an EBMUD contractor who will restore the road to its original condition. We work closely with the city of Lafayette to ensure the paving meets all city standards. Our goal is to complete final paving within 90 days after all construction is completed, weather permitting. While we always aim to stay on schedule, heavy rain, cold temperatures can delay paving work. In the meantime, our crews will regularly monitor and maintain temporary pavement to make sure the road remains safe for drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians. Next slide. Now, throughout this 9-month project, EBMUD is making sure emergency services such as fire, police, and ambulances can continue responding without any delays. We're in constant coordination with emergency responders, keeping them updated on our work so they can plan accordingly. If they need to get through the construction zone, we do have a plan in place, and that plan includes always maintaining a single lane of traffic open within the work zone, especially for emergency vehicles. This means, finally, we're paying special attention to red flag days when fire danger is high. On those days, we will follow the fire department's direction and adjust work as needed to prioritize safety. Now I'll hand it back to Joe to go over how we'll keep the community informed throughout the project.
Thank you, Dennis. So as I've said many times, we do know that major construction projects like this can be disruptive. So we do want to make sure that you have the latest updates and all the information that you need as we move forward. We'll be regularly updating residents through multiple channels so you can stay informed in whatever way works best for you. Email and website updates. We'll send email notifications and post updates on our Reliez Valley Road pipeline replacement project, which is shown here on the screen. You can and should subscribe to EBMUD alerts at ebmud.com/alerts, also shown as the second bullet point there, to receive important notifications straight to your inbox. Message signs will also be along the detour route. We'll have signs posted along the detour route to help guide drivers and let you know about the road closures in advance. Social media and Nextdoor, EBMUD will also share project updates on our Nextdoor page and other social media platforms to keep you informed. Finally, the City of Lafayette's weekly roundup newsletter is another great place where you can find this information. We encourage you to check these sources throughout the project to stay informed. And now we would like to open it up for your questions. So please feel free to ask us questions. This is your water agency, and we're here to answer your questions. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and we will call on you in the order that we receive them. All right. So Sean Kraus, I think, was the first hand raised. Sean, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you here. There we are.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Hey, Sean. Yeah, we can hear you. How's it going?
Oh, great. Thanks. How you doing?
Doing good.
Sorry, I jumped in late. I forgot about the meeting, but I was just going to ask you, kind of on a selfish level for our road. You said it's closing. I saw on the paper it's closed at Withers and Reliez Valley Road. But it looks like the work's taking place like a block up.
Yeah, so if we're so at Reliez and Withers Road here, yeah. So and then work is gonna start right at Reliez Valley Court. It looks like Highlands Road is also gonna be impacted here.
Oh, well, okay, yes. I wasn't sure if you were backed up to the actual intersection or if it was a little past that.
No, I'm
Like,
sorry. I apologize there, Sean. It's Kim Road and Almaden Court is where we're gonna be starting construction on this project here. So we're not up on Reliez Valley Road. I apologize for these road dots that are here on our map. This is where the construction zone is gonna be happening.
okay.
You can see, I'm sorry.
So I guess I'm poking at like between like there's Ivanhoe and Reliez and Withers. So like where's the first, are you going to a pump right there at the corner of Ivanhoe? Or is it only starting at like Almaden?
It's gonna, yeah, so Almaden Court is part of, so what was the question about the pump there, Sean, that we were asking?
It's more about just I'm wondering about for our street, like the access, people coming in and out readily. Are you actually doing work between like Release Highland Road and the intersection at Withers and Ivanhoe?
No, yeah, so no, I thank you for clarifying. Yeah, so the work will be on Kim and Almaden Road as well as Reliez Valley Court, Vaughn Road and Hermosa Way, all down Reliez Valley Road. So the work is going to start here at Kim Road and Almaden Court.
So for us, basically, it won't be our street won't be affected. We can kind of get in and out as we
Towards,
need.
yeah, going up towards Withers and then going down around the detour route is what we would suggest there. If you were going to try and get through or down towards Acalanes or Highway 24, I would, if you were up here outside of the construction zone, take the
Yeah.
detour up towards Withers, down towards Taylor Boulevard.
So that'll always be open, basically.
It should, yeah, it's outside of the construction zone, so it should be, yeah, unless there's some one-off or something along those lines. We can't guarantee everything, but it's not where the construction zone is happening here.
Okay, and then just to ask, I have a friend who lives off Shangri-La. Will the work does go past it all the way up to Johnson Road there?
No, Hermosa Way is where we're gonna be stopping construction. I do have another Dennis, and then I have Kingsley. I can ask Kingsley is our designer. I might ask Kingsley to jump in here if you could. Kingsley, do you know if this is gonna go down to Shangri-La or Johnson Road here?
Yeah.
It does.
Well,
It goes down to,
the
sorry.
project is on Reliez Valley Road, and it does involve new main going down to Johnson Road. There's going to be there's no work on Shangri-La Road or Johnson Road.
Gotcha. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Perfect, thanks, Sean. Okay, and then next we have Pam Pallets. I'm gonna ask you to unmute.
Hi, my question is actually, you just mentioned it. So there are several side streets like Shangri-La, Johnson Road, Echo Springs Road that are within the construction zone, but are not included in the project. Does that mean that our pipes are good, or are you going to come back at some other time and replace our pipes, or what's the situation of other streets in the area?
Hey, Joe, I can take this one too. Hi, Pam. I just responded to your question on the chat. But just to reiterate, that is correct. The streets that are not included in this project, we determined that those pipes are still in good condition, and there are no plans to come back, within a couple of years. I guess, at least 5 to 10 years, I'd say. But hopefully more,
All right, thank you.
Next, I'm gonna call on Sanja. I'm gonna allow you and talk or mute there.
Hi, Sonia Mond here. Do you have an approximate timeline of what segment of Reliez Valley Road you will start with and when you will reach Hermosa Way?
Dennis, did you want to try and take a stab at that?
Yeah, and this is all estimated work. I can tell you that the project is going to start on the northern part at Almaden and Kim in that area. It's going to work its way south. There's some other things involved in this project, such as cutting in a large valve on Kim and then doing Reliez Valley Court. There's some sequencing involved because we're moving some services. So I don't like to give estimates, rain and everything, but we will be working slowly south. So Hermosa and Shangri-La will be at the tail end of this project. And we kind of move in sequences.
Excuse me.
Sorry, go ahead. What was your question?
By the tail end of the project, do you mean towards the end of the 9-month period?
That'd be correct.
And until that
These are all
time,
estimates.
excuse me, and until the time, it's because I have a project coming to my house involving a lot of access for trucks, and I'm wondering, will the access be blocked just for the segment that's being worked on at that time? Or will the whole red section of the road on your map be blocked off for the entire 9 months?
No, really, it'll only be, we do about 300 feet a day of mainline install. And so really that's the only part that's closed. The reason for the long detours, those are the really only the good, you don't want people coming down. There's no other, ways to enter and exit that area. But, for like you, if you were on trying to get to Shangri-La, you'd come in from the other way, there'd be no issue. But we work around people doing remodels, construction, garbage days. Every day we have crews out on the street, and we'll make sure that whatever construction you have going on at your house will be accommodated.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Thank you, Sonia. Next we have Jonathan. I'm gonna ask you to unmute there.
Yes, John Pose, and I live on Hermosa Way. So I'm one of the people along with Sonia. A couple of questions. If I understand correctly, if you stage it the way you say you're going to stage it, our end at Hermosa Way will probably not be blocked or closed for a good piece of time until you get to our section, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we know you're going to do Hermosa Way, which will obviously be very disruptive. It's a narrow road. It's a private road. And obviously that's going to be an issue because there's probably periods of time where it heavily impacts ingress, egress. Two of us on the street are physicians, so it's kind of an issue of, do we need to get in and out to the hospital? And obviously you guys will kind of keep us posted. A question also, and it's more specific to Hermosa Way. We 10 or so neighbors, and it's a private street, a couple of years ago, spent $50,000 to completely redo the street because it had failed, with grinding the whole street and doing 2 lifts of asphalt by Lucas Paving. We just want to know that when you're done, the street will be completely repaved, because as far as we can tell by the tape measure, your trench cuts and your work are going to span a good width of the street. Do you have any details, or can you assure us of anything at this time?
I can tell you that we will restore the street as good as it was when we got there. And I believe our paving and superintendent has been in contact with some people on your street already. I am aware of the fact that you guys recently repaved that road and that it is private. I'm not the paving superintendent, but I believe there are communications going on right now between our paving superintendent and a couple of residents on Hermosa Way. I don't have that information in front of me right now, but we always make sure that we restore everything to as good as we got there, whether it's concrete, paving, curb and gutter, you name it, landscaping.
Yeah, Colin is the gentleman on our street who's been sort of point person, and yes, he has been in touch with your colleagues in paving college. I just didn't know if you had any more specific information for us here, but thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, and next I'm gonna call, I think it's Rupi. If you wanted to go ahead and ask your question and unmute.
Yes, great. Hi, thank you so much for this information. It's very helpful. I live off of Ivanhoe on one of the small streets towards the back, and I'm wondering how our street can get on the list for pipe repair, because in the past year alone, we've had at least 3 pipe failures in the middle of the night. And it looks like, we could greatly benefit from, the pipes being replaced, and it would be a cost savings to you, obviously, for not sending your crews out in the middle of the night. How can we do that?
Well, luckily you have one of our designers on this call, and every year we grade all of our pipes, and unfortunately we have a lot of failing pipes in the district, and we prioritize them based on breaks and other factors. So I'm sure they'll look into it. Every year they select a certain amount of pipes that need to be replaced, and those get prioritized. But yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
how specifically to answer that question.
Kingsley,
okay.
are you still on with us? Would you?
I am, and yeah,
Yeah.
just to echo what Dennis is saying, we have limited in-house resources in terms of funds and crews, and we try to tackle the worst of the worst pipes out there. And unfortunately, and I think in a perfect world, we would love to replace all our pipe, but that's just not the reality that we live in. But there may be factors in the near term that might drive a project towards a higher priority. So I think we'll just have to see how things go. But there's bad pipe springing out every day, and we try our best to prioritize these projects.
Okay, great. If you could, have someone, or if you could take a look at Ivanhoe and Marion Court, like the streets where Ivanhoe ends, that would be a great benefit to everyone. So thank you in advance for taking a look at that, if you could.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, and then Colin Elliott, I'm going to call on you now.
Hi, this is Colin.
Hi, Colin. Thank you.
Yeah, just following up on what Jonathan and Sonia said. Yeah, I'm from Hermosa Way, so you're right. I have been in touch with Andrew. He's also put me in touch with Mike and Chris on your repaving team. So I'm just connecting with them to find out what the quality is going to be. And we're also worried what at the end of our road we got a big cul-de-sac. I know we had a break there once, and I'm guessing we want to find out, what's going to happen up at the top of the road as well, where we've got the turning circle, what that disruption is going to be. But I don't know if you guys know anything about that as well.
So you're saying that you had a break up in the cul-de-sac at the end, and so there's
Yeah.
some pavement that's been disrupted?
No. This was before we resurfaced the entire street. But we're guessing you might have to dig a pretty big hole at the top as well, not just a trench.
I'm not, typically our trench is about 30 inches wide.
Okay.
And, then we have to transfer services in front of each house, which is another, 3 by 5 foot excavation in front of each house in order to transfer the services. But I don't anticipate, just from this conversation, having to do anything greater than that.
Well, at the end, it's a banjo, right? So it's a big turning circle. So I doubt my guess is the main runs to the center and then pipes go off from that in each direction. But I don't know. That's our only question, is how does that actually work at the top?
Yeah, it's typically it's just a straight line. It runs to the end, and then we just dig. I don't know how many services there are up in the cul-de-sac area, but I think it's a lot less than what you're envisioning.
Yeah, there's about 4. Someone will correct me. 4 or 5 homes at the top that go around or 4 homes at the top go around the circle.
Yeah, it'll just be 4 small excavations right off of our trench, where the other ones come into the old one, and we just grab the service and transfer it to the new one. It's not horribly invasive.
And do you lay the new pipe alongside the old one, or is this a whole new trench?
We do dig a new trench, and we do lay it alongside the other one, but we do not expose the existing main while we do it. We leave everything in place. We dig around what's in the ground, so that way you maintain service. And then the only time you get turned off, at least as far as we plan, is when we transfer you from the old main to the new main.
Okay, so it won't necessarily follow the route of the current main. It's going to be to the left or right of that, I'm guessing then.
That is correct. Usually anywhere 3 to 5 feet off of the existing.
Yeah, okay. So that's just where our paving, because we resurfaced it 3 years ago, and it's in really good condition. We just want to make sure we don't get that we get the whole surface done. Because I know in Lafayette you do 4 feet either side of the trench, so that's pretty much, in some spots that's going to be the whole street.
Understood. But yeah, I think that's a conversation for Mike and Chris.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Colin. I have Katie Lewis, hand raised. I'm going to just go ahead and call on you next. If you wanted to go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Hi there, thanks. First off, big kudos to this team on the outreach you've done. All the info has been really accessible, which is much appreciated here. Some quick questions on my end. One was, are these slides going to be posted on the website or sent out anywhere? Or do we just see them here?
Yeah, no, these slides will be available as well as the recording of this presentation on the project webpage for Reliez Valley Road pipeline replacement on eastbaymud.com.
Okay, great. And then another question I had that's somewhat related to the pavement maintenance. I know there was the recent pipeline replacement on Withers. I'm not sure if that one's considered the new permanent pavement at this point, just to have a ballpark of what we can anticipate the new pavement looking like, or if that one's still considered temporary.
That is still considered temporary. We're still finishing up that project. I'm not sure if that's going to be done in-house or if they're going to package that up and give it to a contractor. But yeah, that is what you see is temporary. And now the permanent asphalt extends a lot farther on each side from our actual trench work. And so it will look a lot better than what it is now.
Okay, great. Good news. Thank you.
Thanks
Sure.
so much. We don't have any other hands raised. I do see that there's some questions in the chat. We've got 10 answered. We've got 5. I'll call Jonathan and Katie had one in the chat, but Brad Wade says, will Hermosa Way be completely closed to traffic for more than 15 minutes at any time? When we're on when we're on Hermosa Way, Brad, the answer would be yes. We're going to be working. If you're getting in and out, if you live on, I'm sorry, your hand's raised. Let's have you ask the question out loud. There we go. Hey, Brad, can you hear me?
I finally got an opportunity to unmute.
There you go. Well, welcome. So your question was, will Hermosa Way be completely closed to traffic for more than 15 minutes at a time? Are you a resident on Hermosa Way? Is that?
Yes, I live next door to Sonia and to Colin.
Well, very good. We've got the whole street on the call tonight. So welcome everybody on Hermosa. You guys could have done this at one house. Yeah, when we're on Hermosa Way, you should expect a 15-minute delay to getting in and out of the construction zone. If you have to get out, you can either speak to someone from one of our crews out there, or you can call me personally. I can get in contact with the crews and we can maneuver you around the construction zone. But there will be times when we're on Hermosa, which we've just earlier we were talking about, it's going to move slowly down Reliez Valley Road, so we're a ways away from getting to Hermosa for when this project begins. But there will be times where you'll have to work around us for 15 minutes. Give us a little grace while we're on Hermosa.
Yeah, that's fine. It's part of that resurfacing, repaving a few years ago. We had to park our cars on another street, walk to them if we wanted to go anywhere for a couple of days. And I was hoping that wouldn't be.
Our pipeline project isn't quite that bad. Paving, that is kind of a requirement because they just can't have you coming in and out.
Right.
During our construction, I mean, it looks like your street's only 650 feet. That's about 3 days of work for us to get all the pipeline installed. And we can always get you in and out of your house. Especially, you come out and give the crew, hey, I need to leave in 20 minutes. They'll make sure there's an accessibility for you. We can set construction plates. If you have to drive over the trench, there are ways to get you in and out. Obviously, okay, we appreciate it if you can limit that for the couple days, and plan a little bit better, because it does prolong every time we have to accommodate something like that. It does lengthen the overall construction, but
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
it's not that bad.
Yeah, that answers my other question was, will there be room for one lane of traffic on a narrow street? And you're saying yes.
It's tough, but we can get you in and out.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Brad, John, I see your hand up again. I'm gonna go ahead and ask if you wanted to.
Yep.
There you go. Hey,
I don't see an unmute. Wait a minute.
well, you're unmuted. You're good.
You're
Oh,
unmuted.
go ahead. Thank you for that. One thing you could do for us on Hermosa Way, I don't know if it's helpful, is when you guys know you're going to hit our street and you're going to want sort of 3 good days, can you give us like a week's warning? Because we as the residents might be able to sort of re-coordinate our lives so we're not disrupting you, so that at the end of the day, the project actually goes faster because we're not driving you crazy. Of course, I can't guarantee it that, you know, if you happen to pick Friday, that's when the garbage people come. And of course, every day is the mail. But if we can help you, you can sort of help us by maybe letting us know kind of when you're thinking.
Yeah.
Which would be great. Second question I put out there for you. Do the water feeds from your new water pipes in the street to our meter on our property get replaced, or are those serviceable?
Repeat that. I'm sorry.
From your water main you lay in the street, you're going to cross over and cut in our residential lines that go to each house. I'm curious if the pipe from your pipe in the street to our East Bay Mud meter on our property, are those still good, serviceable, and do not need to be replaced?
Yeah, it's rare that we replace those. Typically they're copper and they're usually in pretty good shape. We also connect anodes to them, which help extend the life of them while we're transferring them from the old main to the new main. If we do notice something that's suspect or substandard, we will replace it. But typically it's just a reconnect from the old main to the new main. And we
Great.
do
So
not.
you take a look and make sure it looks good, and then we're good. Okay, great.
That's correct. If it's old plastic or we have some substandard material that we no longer use that we experimented with in the 70s, but if it's copper and if it's in good shape, we just transfer it. We do not replace it. If we do notice pitting or things like that, then we will replace it.
And you'd let us know if, like our property, you had to go up to the meter and do some more extensive trenching or something.
Yeah, it's pretty rare we go beyond the meter. That's all on the house, but we can pull them underground. We don't have to open trench those as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John. Katie, I see your hand is raised. If you want to go ahead and unmute and ask a question. Maybe I'm not.
Oh, sorry, my hand should have been lowered. Sorry about that.
No worries, sorry. Okay. So that's the hands that we have there.
We do have some unanswered questions in the chat that maybe Joe, you can answer. So John, I don't know, Jonathan, if you still have the question of any way to do SMS notifications for water shutoff.
Yeah, so I would definitely, Jonathan, sign up for our emergency alerts or just alerts in general at the link that was provided on the last page. It's ebmud.com/alerts. I'm sorry, I got to run through the PowerPoint presentation here. Sorry. But you'll be able to sign up for all kinds of alerts that East Bay Mud offers, and however you prefer, whatever method you prefer to be alerted for construction alerts, emergency alerts, educational opportunities, webinars. East Bay Mud offers quite a bit of information that we will push out to folks. So if anybody on the call, not just Jonathan, is interested in getting alerts from East Bay Mud, I definitely strongly recommend it, and especially in today's day and age, to sign up for alerts for eastbaymud.com. So thank you, Kingsley. Was there another question on there?
Yeah, I'm seeing a question from Whitney Simon from Lomarinda School Bus, wanting to know that should project hours change during the day, will the school buses be given priority to pass the closed roads?
That's yes.
Yeah.
School buses always get a priority, and I don't know, maybe this will help or not, but this is the same crew that's been working on Withers and Reliez, and they're very familiar with the bus routes, the bus drivers. They're in communication with them. If something comes, they take good care of them.
And thank you for being here, Whitney. It's nice to have you. I see, I'm looking at the question and answer now. We've got, yeah, we do work with a question here, Dennis, how do we work with the United States Postal Service and Republic Services Garbage Company?
We let them through and we accommodate them. It's kind of a case by case. Every street and neighborhood's a little bit different. Sometimes we coordinate early pickups before 7 a.m. with the garbage company. The mail, we just work around them. It's something that we do every single day. Every day we have 13 crews out there, and it seems like every day is, mail day. And we just work together. We make sure you get your services.
Perfect. Well, so if we still have some time here, if other people have another question, go ahead and raise your hand. And we get, oh, there we go, Brad. All right, Brad, I just asked to unmute if you wanted to go ahead and answer your question or ask your question, sorry.
Is there a recent East Bay Mud construction project that has been completely repaved so that people who are interested could go out and look at that job to see how well the paving was done?
Now you're putting me on the spot, Brad. I'm trying to test in my memory right now. Geez. Grayson. Release in Grayson. We just did a portion on Grayson, I want to say last summer, and that's all been repaved as well.
Okay, thank you.
It's not too far down from where you're at.
Yeah. Oh, Matt. Okay, Matt Latrup from the city of Lafayette has his hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Matt, if you want to go ahead and ask a question.
I was just going to say another really good example of paving would be St. Mary's Road from Glenside headed out of town.
Awesome. Yeah, that was last summer. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Example. Perfect. Yeah, if anybody wants to see a recently completed massive pipeline project that we completed in Lafayette, head over to St. Mary's Road, which is great. Thank you, Matt. Okay, well, it doesn't look like we have any other hands that are raising before I end the meeting.
I can answer Garrett's question in the chat. So
Okay.
we talked about this during the presentation, but there will be, we do not have any planned projects south of the orange line
I'm sorry, here, let me.
in the map. So that's south of Johnson, I believe. We do not have any planned projects at this time south of Johnson. So hopefully that answers your question.
Garrett says thank you. So I think so. Thank you, Garrett. Okay, perfect. Any other questions before we wrap up? All right. Well, thank you all so much for attending tonight's meeting. As I've said, we'll have this recording on our project webpage. Familiarize yourselves with the webpage, sign up for alerts through eastbaymud.com. And we're thankful that you attended and heard this information tonight. I do see there's other stuff coming into the Q&A as I do my ending preamble. Okay, it's just thank you. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time. Have a good evening and a good night. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, staff. You guys did a great job.
Thanks, Director Gomez.